As the last rays of sunlight vanished from the horizon, Captain Jackson Rostova's eyes scanned the dusty landscape before him. His trusty co-pilot, First Officer Maya Ben, sat quietly beside him, her gaze fixed on the navigation console. The silence was a welcome respite from the non-stop chatter of their cargo. A team of roadie space orcs bound for the planet of Ceridia, IV. The Orcs, infamous for their love of heavy metal music and destruction of property, had been making Rostova's life miserable for the past few standard days. "Hey, Captain." Ben interrupted his thoughts. "What is it?" "Maya. We're approaching the coordinates you wanted to check out." Rostova's eyes narrowed. "Show me." Ben's hands flew across the console, and a holographic display flickered to life in front of them. The image resolved into a grainy image of an ancient structure, half buried in the desert sand. "Looks like some sort of temple," Ben said, her brow furrowed in concentration. Rostova's grip on the armrests tightened. "Let me see that again." Ben zoomed in on the structure, and Rostova studied it intently. The temple's walls were covered in strange symbols and markings, which seemed to pulse with a faint blue light. "I think we've got something here," he said, his voice low and urgent. "Plot a course for the temple. Let's take a closer look." Ben nodded, her fingers flying across the console once more. The ship banked sharply, heading towards the ancient structure. As they drew nearer, Rostova could feel the air grow thick with an otherworldly energy. The symbols on the temple walls seemed to be growing brighter, and he sensed that they were being watched. "Ben, I think we're not alone here," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Ben's eyes met his, her expression serious. "I sense it too, Captain." The ship hovered mere meters from the temple, the air crackling with anticipation. Rostova's instincts screamed at him to be cautious, but his curiosity got the better of him. "Let's take a shuttle down and check it out," he said, his voice firm. Ben nodded, her eyes never leaving the console. "I'll prep the shuttle, Captain." Rostova stood up, his movements economical. He felt a shiver run down his spine as he approached the temple entrance. The air grew colder, and the symbols pulsed with an electric blue light. He took a deep breath, mentally preparing himself for what lay ahead. "What do we have here?" he whispered to himself. The temple's entrance slid open, revealing a dark and foreboding interior. Rostova steeled himself, his eyes adjusting slowly to the darkness. "Welcome to Ceridia, IV," he muttered, his voice barely audible over the sound of his own heartbeat. As he stepped inside, the air enveloped him like a damp shroud. The symbols on the walls seemed to hum with an ancient power, and Rostova's skin prickled with unease. He fumbled for his flashlight and flipped it on, casting a weak beam into the darkness. "Ben, can you patch me through to the shuttle?" he called out, his voice echoing off the temple walls. "Aye, Captain," Ben replied, her voice calm and steady. "I'm patching you in now." Rostova nodded to himself, taking a deep breath as he ventured deeper into the temple. The air grew colder still, and he could feel the weight of history bearing down on him. "Ben, I've got something weird going on here," Rostova said, his voice low and cautious. "I'm seeing some sort of energy signature emanating from these symbols. It's like nothing I've seen before." Gah! Ben's voice came back over the comms link, steady as a rock. "That's not possible, Captain. This is ancient technology we're dealing with here. There's no way." Rostova interrupted her. "Just tell me what you see, Ben." A pause followed, and then Ben spoke up again. "I'm seeing some kind of energy matrix surrounding the temple, Captain. It's like a containment field or something." Rostova's eyes scanned the darkness, his mind racing with possibilities. "That's not good," he muttered to himself. He continued to explore the temple, his flashlight casting eerie shadows on the walls. The symbols seemed to be growing brighter, and the air was thickening with an otherworldly energy. As he turned a corner, Rostova caught sight of something that made his blood run cold. A series of ancient artifacts lined the walls, each one pulsing with a power that seemed almost alive. "Ben," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "I think we've got a problem here." Rostova stepped into the temple, his eyes scanning the dimly lit chamber. The air was stale and musty, heavy with the scent of age and decay. Ben followed close behind, her flashlight casting eerie shadows on the walls. As they ventured deeper, Rostova noticed strange markings etched into the stone floor. They appeared to be some sort of ancient script, but he couldn't decipher their meaning. The symbols seemed to be a mix of mathematical equations and hieroglyphics, leading him to wonder what kind of civilization had once flourished here. Ben halted at the base of a massive stone pillar, her eyes fixed on the intricate carvings that spiraled up its surface. Rostova joined her, studying the depictions of strange creatures and celestial bodies. "What do you make of this?" Ben asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Rostova's gaze roved over the carvings. "I think we're looking at some kind of ancient calendar or astronomical chart, maybe even a warning system." Ben nodded thoughtfully. "This temple might be more than just a relic. It could be a key to understanding Ziridia, IV's mysterious past." As they continued to explore, Rostova began to feel a strange sensation, as if the temple itself was awakening from a long slumber. The air grew warmer, and the symbols on the walls pulsed with an otherworldly energy. "Ben, I think we should be careful," he warned, his voice low and serious. "This place feels like it's about to blow its top." Ben's eyes locked onto his, her expression concerned. "What do you mean?" Rostova glanced around the temple, his instincts screaming at him to get out while they still could. I don't know, but I think we've disturbed something that was meant to stay buried. Suddenly, the air seemed to charge with electricity, and the symbols on the walls erupted into a blinding flash of light. Rostova shielded his eyes, feeling the energy wash over him like a tidal wave. Ben's voice was lost in the din, but Rostova felt her hand grasp his arm, pulling him back towards the entrance. He stumbled forward, his vision blurred by the intense light. As they emerged from the temple, Rostova blinked away the afterimages, his eyes adjusting slowly to the bright sunlight. The air seemed clearer now, the silence almost palpable. Ben's face was etched with concern. "Captain, what just happened?" Rostova rubbed his temples, trying to clear the haze from his mind. "I think we've unleashed something ancient and powerful. We need to get back to the ship and study this temple further before it's too late." Ben nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon as if searching for some unseen threat. "Aye, Captain. But what are we dealing with here?" Rostova's expression turned grim. "I don't know yet, but I have a feeling our adventure is only just beginning." As he stepped inside, the air was thick with an otherworldly silence. The darkness seemed to swallow him whole, and Rostova's eyes strained to adjust. Suddenly, the symbols on the walls began to glow brighter, casting an eerie light across the ancient structure. Ben's voice came over the comms device, her tone steady but cautious. "Captain, I'm reading some kind of energy signature emanating from within." Rostova's heart quickened its pace. He had a feeling that they were on the cusp of something big, something that could change everything they thought they knew about this planet. He moved deeper into the temple, his footsteps echoing off the walls. As he ventured further, the symbols began to take on a life of their own, swirling and pulsing around him like some sort of ancient hieroglyphic dance. The air grew colder still, and Rostova could feel it, a strange, almost palpable energy emanating from the very heart of the temple. He approached cautiously, his senses on high alert. Suddenly, a low hum filled the air, and the symbols ceased their frantic dance. The energy signature Ben had detected began to coalesce into a shimmering portal, its edges crackling with an electric blue light. Rostova's eyes locked onto the portal, his heart pounding in his chest. He felt it, the thrill of discovery, the rush of uncovering secrets that had lain hidden for centuries. Ben's voice came over the comms device, once more, her tone laced with a mix of excitement and trepidation. "Captain, I'm reading an energy resonance building up around us. Whatever is on the other side of that portal, we're going to have to be ready." Rostova nodded to himself, his mind racing with possibilities. He turned to Ben, his eyes locked onto hers. "Let's do this," he said, his voice firm and resolute. Ben nodded, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. Time to find out what Ziridia, IV, has in store for us. Together, they stepped through the shimmering portal, leaving the ancient temple and its secrets behind, but not before Rostova caught a glimpse of something that made his heart skip a beat. A figure tall, imposing, and shrouded in shadows watched them from the far corner of the temple. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly intensity, as if it had been waiting for centuries to see what would emerge from the depths of time. And Rostova knew that this was only the beginning